fishing, eating here. I'm out in the chestnut orchard by the garden, and this is what I see when I come around the corner. Big old hawk sitting there on my garden fence, right there at the gate. Y'all can see him or not. Yeah, there he goes. Chickens are not free ranging today. Well, I was out here looking at pecan trees. Trees that we put in, oh gosh, 25 years ago, and maybe grafted 20 years ago, something like that. Pecan. This is the variety. Excuse me, I'm a little out of breath from the hawk. This is Peruke variety. It has a pretty good flavor, and for me, it's fairly scab-free. It's not the heavy cropper that the next tree will be, but then I believe in general people think that it tastes a little bit better than Kiowa, which is this tree over here. Same age. This tree crops probably at twice the rate, and I could probably shake some loose and get, you know, the gourmet treatment. I know that there are people that shake their pecans, but they shed some naturally, so I just let them do what they do. This is Kiowa, and there's a little bit of scab on them. I mean, you can see some on those nuts, but when taken overall with the load on the trees, this is going to be an on year, so this is a year that the squirrels don't get everything and we finally get our share. So this is Kiowa. We don't have the little dog running around out today, and that hawk is flying around. Right there he goes again. So he's a resident. Different cages to keep different things in and out. It's relentless. So there you have in the background, there's the Kiowa tree, and then the Peruke here at the garden fence. Right beside that Peruke is another Peruke, and you can see pretty clearly on that tree where the graft line was. Changes color pretty dramatically. So these were planted like a foot apart, you know, 25 years ago, and I kept thinning and changing, and this is a variety that just got grafted on there this year, named Tracy, one that we bred for flavor and that scab resistance. So I figured I'm going to put it on there, and then I'll clear out all this other stuff and see what it does. It's way too close to be a big pecan tree, but it can produce cyanwood for me. So we just kind of like this ferny looking screen and block and what have you, made up of all the native trees. I tried to graft this one over to something this year. It was going to be Tracy again, and the graft failed, so I'm just going to let it grow out like that. And this is the, you know, the native thing here. I went down to a local place, 30-40 miles away, and gathered some seed one year and just came out here and planted it in a row real thick. So we just kind of like this undergrowth here. You know, we can trim it back this year, that year. One advantage to having this undergrowth, which is a whole nother video, but one of those things, you know, if you look under there, for some reason this stump just keeps producing oyster mushrooms. And those aren't that impressive, but I just cut a big, nice one. We're going to get rain tonight, so it should improve. Anyway, this is the only tree that I allowed to grow completely from seed without hacking, changing, doing anything to it. So this is what would be a Missouri native down in Glasgow area, down there in the river bottoms where, you know, the seed would spread and flourish in that deep soil. They produce pretty well. So I figured, I'll just have one here as an example. It's going to be the dominant tree because it's never been knocked back by anything. So I'll just kind of skip past this little chestnut tree here. And this tree years ago I grafted to variety Posey. You can see the line again there, and Here's some of those nuts. The only issue with this one is that it does get scab, and sometimes it's so late that the nuts don't really fill in all the way. The husk looks impressive, and the nut's not bad, but it's kind of a little bit of showmanship on the part of the tree. They're not that big to need all that. So then I decided in later years, well, I'm going to put a different variety on there. So up into the crotches there, you can see wherever there's a disturbance and something changes and gets ugly, that's where all my grafts are. So I put 4 different grafts on the top of that tree, and so now those have grown out, and that's the variety Kansas. People say that's, you know, about the sweetest one. Whenever we have a variety trial, they'll like that one for flavor, and it is smaller, so I guess it was bred for the area around Kansas. So here in mid-Missouri, we're just sideways from there, meteorologically speaking. So that's the Frankenstein tree there. But you know, it's fun. And then here, this is another example of Kiowa. It's a pretty large tree, and yes, it's planted too close to the house and all that other stuff, but it's incredibly productive. You know, I mean, I don't know what more you'd ask for than stuff right there where you can reach out and grab it with your hands. You know, the problem's going to be squirrels, and this year when we have that much, then you know, we got a fighting chance against them, because they'll take them way before they're ready to come. So they'll just be carrying them off and either storing them or eating them half green. You know, you can see, bad lighting aside anyway, if that's the average branch tip, they may have actually overproduced this year. There's a lot of nuts going to come down from that tree. So anyway, that's our little pecan orchard. They're really spread out all over the property. So I mean, I could point out that tree there in the distance. That's another variety. And frankly, this year I'm going to find out which one it was, because I've lost track. And then there's another one back behind that oak tree. And of course, yeah, they're too close, and we like the shade of that other tree, so we're going to keep it around anyway. This tree here looks like it's quite susceptible to that. Now